Yeah, I think it's much ado about nothing, Steven, honestly. Most people who know basketball understood what I was talking about. Actually, I was advocating for her more than anything else because basketball is muscle memory.
Right.
So he practices from one range, she practices from the other.
TNT's Kenny the Jet Smith will not acknowledge any wrongdoing, instead doubling down on his commentary of Sabrina Ionescu.
There's even a study, I think, with somebody throwing darts, the guy who throws darts.
Okay.
And if you move him out one step, his accuracy changes dramatically. But the funny thing about it, if you move him in one step, his accuracy changes because you take so many shots from the exact same thing. So I'm like, why is he getting the advantage to shoot at his line? That's an advantage. It's not gender, it's not genetic, it's an advantage.
Rough comparing NBA shooting to darts, but clearly he knew he was in trouble and had to come up with some excuse. If you missed it, Rich Eisen explains the controversy.
After Sabrina cleans out the first rack perfectly and puts up 26 points, which was enough to make the men's actual three-point shooting contest final, right?
Yeah, right.
That when Steph puts up 29, this now sparks a debate as to why Sabrina didn't shoot from the WNBA three-point line as opposed to where she shot it from the NBA three-point line, because the whole point of this is it's about shooting and skill. And that's what it's about. And how if you have a great shot like Sabrina Ionescu, then gender doesn't matter. It's about skill and shooting and guts and determination and focus. That's what it's about. Not like, well, she used this ball and he used that ball and she should have shot from this point. And if you make that point once, that's, annoying enough, but they just kept going on. Him and Reggie Miller start sparking a conversation. Well, there's a men's tee and a women's tee in golf. You're missing the point. And we were just sitting there going, what's the matter with people who I adore normally listening to? Like, why are we, this is not the real estate to use this. Sue Bird tweeted out, why, essentially, like, you needed a woman on the microphone here because there's nuance and backstory. And part of the backstory is, Sabrina told the story that she wanted to play with boys because she was good. Back when she was a kid and she was told that she should go home and play with her dolls or something like that. And even one point, Kenny Smith goes, and at the very end of this moment that I'm trying to enjoy with my daughter and in peace, and instead there's some sort of alpha male argument that I would want to step away from at the bar if I was hearing it.
All caught up? Good. Smith would continue defending himself.
Well, I think when Reggie was joking around about, so she should play with dolls, because there was a comment, I think, that Sabrina, when she was younger,
right,
that someone said you should play dolls and stop. My thought, I have daughters. So my thought when I first heard that, I was like, what's wrong with that? You should play with dolls and you could do sports. So I actually said it. But see, most people just don't check the tape. They want to just check the bait. You know what I mean?
It's almost embarrassing he keeps doing this. And the reactions would rebuke Kenny Smith fiercely. The Philadelphia 76ers' Joel Embiid would tweet, Kenny Smith been drinking. LMAO. Brittany Donaldson, a Northern Iowa alumnus who made history, becoming the first female coach in the history of the Atlanta Hawks franchise, would rightfully tweet her analysis. Sabrina hitting the exact score that Damian Lillard won with, losing to Steph Curry, and the immediate commentary being, well, she should have shot from the women's line, pretty much sums up our experience if y'all are wondering. Brenna Green, a professional sportscaster in Portland, Oregon, chimed in. Shouts to Kenny Smith for once again reminding me how garbage it can be to be a woman in sports. Not like I needed a reminder, but appreciate it, my dude.
My history and track record it speaks for itself.
Well, please.
It could, but it does not dispel the bad moment you had on the mic, Kenny. When Reggie Miller asked, why are you putting those boundaries on her? She wanted to shoot from there. Smith responded, she should have shot from the line. There is a women's tee in golf and there is a men's tee for a reason. To reiterate, as many have brought up as well, Kenny Smith made this argument after Sabrina Ionescu hit 26, the same score that Damian Lillard had in his championship winning round, the final round of the competition. So there is no merit with this. In addition, Smith would bring up the darts example, but he would also bring up the golf example. And what he's doing is going from A to C. The B that he leaves out is that what if Sabrina Ionescu wanted to tee off from the men's tees? What if she could? What if she practiced that way and has that sort of range and power, the same way that she has the accuracy and range of what Steph does from time to time in the W? It was ill-founded. It was a knee-jerk, very man-like reaction, and it was demeaning, and it was bad. And instead of him having reflection, instead he is running to an ally and doubling, tripling, quadrupling down. And I think the reason this strikes a nerve with so many is because the Inside the NBA on TNT show with Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kenny the Jet Smith, it's one of the most refreshingly honest shows. And we expect to hear some stuff that you probably wouldn't hear on mainstream television. Where I think the issue comes in is that someone like Kenny is saying my track record speaks for itself. Yeah, that's why this doesn't jive with the track record. That's why this is, simply put, wrong. Is because you're saying one thing and then you're sounding hypocritical when you say something else. Let me also say this. Reggie Miller being like the shining knight in this instance is the product of his sister being amazing at basketball, of Reggie being second best in his own house. We could do an entire piece on Cheryl Miller. I'm sure everybody remembers that one clip. It was from the USC, I believe it was on HBO Max, of that team. It's a really good documentary. And Reggie is being interviewed, and he tells a story about how he put up like 50 or 60 or something. And Cheryl and their pops are in the front seat. Reggie's bragging about how many points he had. And they're just sort of like smiling and looking at each other. And Reggie started to pick up on it. He's like, what? How many did you have, Cheryl? She's like, yeah, I had 100. So if there's anybody who can attest to the complete inverse of what Kenny the Jet Smith said, it's Reggie Miller and Cheryl. And I'm sure he heard all of this growing up about his sister. I'm sure he heard the demeaning comments. And it provided him the opportunity in this window over the All-Star break during the three-point competition to respond to Kenny Smith. And he did so beautifully.
And then so Kenny at the end ends this whole thing with, oh, by the way, and I tell my daughters it's okay to play with dolls. What did that even mean? Because it's not like Sabrina said, hey, I don't want to play with dolls. I want to play with the boys. She could do both. Because she's that good. What does that even mean? I tell my daughter, like, it's not like she's telling girls it's bad to play with dolls. She's telling girls, if you're good enough, go kick the boys' ass. I don't know what the hell happened there. So, and like I said, I love Kenny. That was just disappointing.